Hello, my name is ICHRAMSYAH NUGRAHA, and this is Naufal MUFID Abdillah, and this is Tio Eka FRIADI. Today we are going to present about the second major assignment and final exam student for information system about software engineering that we created before.
So
Yes.
the first one is use case diagram of a money system. In this use case, the first use case is login to application and include check balance, and the second use case is transfer money, include enter transfer amount, include create transfer receive, and the last is extend receive transfer notification. And the third use case is view transaction history, and the last is log out from application. So for the use case description, name of the use case is transfer money, use case ID is UC201, and the actor is user is primary and the system is secondary. So the description is allow to user to transfer money to another account. And the precondition, first is user must be log in into the application, and the second is system is online. So for the main flow, first is use case log into the application, the second is system validate user credential, the third is user select transfer money, and the fourth, system include the check balance, use case to verify sufficient balance, and the five is user enter the transfer amount, and the six, system validate the transfer amount and confirm availability, and the seven, user confirm the transfer, and the eight, system include the create transfer receive, use case to generate the receive. And the nine, system process the transaction. And the last is the system extend the receive transfer notification use case to notify the recipient. So the next is alternative flow. Invalid login, system display an error message. Insufficient balance, system show an error and cancel the transaction. For the post condition, transfer is successful process, and the both user receive a notif. And the second is user balance is updated in the system. So the priority is high. Okay. So the next is I send to the Naufal.
So in here we have an activity diagram, and in here we have the user and the system. We can log into the application. Maybe I can make it bigger first. Okay, after the login page, they send the login data to the system, which is the database, to verify the credential, and we have yes or no. If the account is not valid, it will be a send error message to user, and if it's correct, then say success respond to user. It successfully checks balance. Sends balance request to the system, retrieve balance from database, send balance to the user, view balance on screen, transfer money, enter receipt number, enter transfer amount, confirm transfer, send transfer data to the system. Okay, after we can check balance sufficient. When balance sufficient is no, they can send the error message too. If it is yes, process transaction, we can process it, deduct the user balance, add recipient balance, save transaction to database, send transaction success notification to the user. And after we can receive successfully transaction notification, we can view it into transaction history and send transaction history to the system. After that, we retrieve the transaction history from the database, send the transaction history to the user. Display transaction history on screen, logout from application, send logout request to the system. And after, we can delete login session. So the main model in here, we have a user ID with integer, and name string, or phone number in string, integer, email in string, transaction history, and also balance amount in float. We have a relation into the transaction which have transaction ID, user ID, destination of a number, amount, user report status, user status report, and the transaction, of course, having a relation also into the report that have report ID, transaction ID, report format, generate date, transaction. So in here we have an explanation for it, the relationship user and transaction. A user can perform multiple transaction. Each transaction record is linked to user through the user ID attribute. And after the number two, the transaction and report. The transaction can have one or more reports for different reporting purpose. Each report is linked to a single transaction through transaction ID attribute. And user and report via transaction. A user can directly have multiple reports through the interaction they perform. Each report is associated with user ID is related to the transaction.
So this is the last diagram. It's an entity relation diagram. So yes, for the user is the primary key is user ID. It's attribute to the name or string to the user's name, and then the phone number it's which is integer, the user's phone number, and the email which is also string. It's for the user email address, and the last is the balance amount, which is its float. It's for the user's current balance. And the second entity is transaction. With the primary key, it's transaction ID, and its attributes is user ID, which is foreign key, reference the user entity, and the second is destination of phone number, which is string. That's the destination of phone number for the transaction. The third amount, which is decimal. That's also the transaction amount, and the last is the status, which is string. That's the status of the transaction. Example completed and ending. And the last entities is report, which is the primary key is report ID, and the attribute is transaction ID. It's foreign key, reference the transaction entity, and the second report format, it's string. It's basically the format for of the generate report, and the last is generate date. It's date time, the date and the time for the report was created.
Okay, maybe we can go to the application that already implemented, but with our database design. Okay, so we can run it well right now. All right, in here we have the login section, which is we can input admin as the user. I already inputted in database, and the password using password 2, and we'll log in on it. Yes, it's successfully logged in. And also we can add balance first to make sure we have money for it. Maybe $100. We can add it. Yes, successfully added in here, and we can select our balance now. Now our balance is 100,100. Yeah. Before I already input here. So the last one, the previous one is 100. So it successfully added my balance. And we can view the transaction history in here. Yeah, as you can see, I have so many transfer in here. All of it is successful. Maybe for the transfer money, we can make an anonymous recipient ID. So since we didn't credit for the another user account. Okay. All right, already transferred. All of the coding in here is going well, and the last one, of course, we can log out in here. Yeah, already logged out. So to make sure the coding is work well, we have to import the Toga Essential from Toga import pack, and import column, of course, Pony ORM for the database requirement and DB session, and select. And of course, in the first one, we have to input the database first. Actually, we have to file in here. First imani underscore the db.py. After we create the database, of course we initialize again in our app, and then we bind the database that we already run in here using the SQLite database. So in here, the function to add fund, which is to add balance. So we have a incoming and outgoing. So the application here have the main window, username input, password input in here, login button, and many more. I think that's all we can explain in here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all from our team, and that's it. That's our presentation for our final exam. Yes, that's our presentation for the second major assignment and the final exam students. And thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fuck you.
Jangan deh. Editnya ribet.
Itu nggak ada jeda tuh.